The Holyman by Manoj. The young prince was enamored of a holy man. One day the boy returned home without his diamond-studded ring and his gold necklace. The holy man was pleased to receive them, mother, he told the queen. How much holy is he? The queen asked. He is wholly holy, mother, replied the prince. How did you know? Well, he can see birds beyond the clouds, stars beyond the stars, and lands beyond the sea. The other day he told me there were more than 1,000 trees in the village on the other side of the hill. I climbed the hill and saw for myself. What he said was true, replied the boy. Who but a holy man can be far-sighted like that? Challenged the prince. The queen nodded gravely and said, Well, such a far-sighted sage deserves to be honored in a far better way. Why don't you invite him to dine with us? I will do so gladly, but who knows the whims of a holy man? I only wish that he cares to come, said the prince happily. Next day he invited the holy man to the palace. Well, well, even though I do not entertain invitations, I will come, said the fellow. What the prince failed to observe is the holy man could hardly suppress his excitement. The king was away at some distant castle. It was the queen who received the guest who was escorted by the prince himself. Welcome, O holy man, the queen said in the way of greeting him. Wait a moment, said the holy man, on the threshold of the entrance. As he closed his eyes, he then shouted, Go away, or I'll kick you out. The queen's maidservants and the prince were surprised. With whom was the holy man angry? Who among those present did something awfully unholy? As they exchanged uncertain looks among themselves, the guest sported a benevolent smile. It's nothing much, O noble queen. It is just that I could see a filthy drunken fellow trying to enter the sanctum sanctorum of the great temple at Dwarka. The priests obviously were negligent, but the intruder, terrified at my shout, is gone, he explained. While everybody looked amazed, the queen alone looked amused. Great, she exclaimed. So you can see things thousands of miles away, can you? Wonderful. I had never met a sage with such uncanny powers. I'm sure, O holy man, you can also look through our eyes and read our minds. I can, if I please, O noble queen. For example, I can read the surprise and appreciation that dominate your mind just now, said the guest. Indeed, commented the queen. The prince was very happy that the man he admired had impressed his mother. He ushered the holy man into the reception room of the queen's apartment and sat engrossed, listening to the stories narrated by the holy man, of course all about his great yogic achievements. The lunch was announced. The queen requested the guest to come into the dining room. He and the prince were served with a plate full of pulao and several other delicious items. But while the prince had been served a big laddu on a gold plate, the guest had been deprived of the item. The laddu was not only big, but also colorful and fragrant. The holy man looked at it again and again, wistfully. He, however, could not complain about his being deprived of it. The queen entered the dining room just when the two were to begin eating. She looked at the dishes laid out before them and spoke aloud. Where is the holy man's laddu? I had seen it inside the kitchen. Where did it go? The guest was happy that he was at last going to have the missing delicacy. Where else could it be, O noble queen? The server just left it behind in the kitchen, said the guest. You see it in the kitchen, don't you? Asked the prince very affably. Yes, of course, agreed the guest. But I see it somewhere else. Will you please search for it inside the pulao on your plate? Suggested the queen. Indeed, the laddu was discovered inside the well-arranged pile of pulao. The holy man looked crestfallen. What a pity it is That one who could see a drunken man entering a temple thousands of miles away failed to see the laddu right in front of him. Maybe you saw the drunkard in the same way you saw the laddu lying in the kitchen, right? Never mind. Please finish your lunch, said the queen. The holy man and the prince ate in silence. Look here, fellow, you are lucky that the king is away. He is not in the habit of pardoning cheats, particularly those who pass themselves off as holy ones, the queen warned. The fellow stood, his head hung. And my dear son, I hope you have had your lesson, the queen observed, looking at the prince. Yes, mother, said the prince, looking at the pretender, said in a stern voice, get out and get lost. Some insight to the story. While exposing the illusion which cheats, the story also teaches that common sense and discretion are not opposed to one's faith. End of today's story.